I'm going to be bad today. Badlands bad. I'm going to talk about riding in the Badlands. A lot of people think you can't. They think it's national park or something. But actually you can, as long as you stick to roads. And I'm going to tell you where you can ride out there, where to park, if you want to camp, where you might want to camp, and some other things that'll be helpful to you if you decide to go to the Badlands. So stick with me. I think it'll be good. Most of the time when you're going for a ride out in the Black Hills, you don't need to do a lot of planning. However, if you plan to go to the Badlands, planning is more important simply because the area is so large. And if you get lost out there, it might be useful if somebody knows where you're going to be. We can start our planning by going to Google. In this case, it defaults to our hometown of Keystone here, but we'll move up towards Rapid City. Um, let's put Rapid City there. It's in the center of the frame. We'll move it up into the top there. Okay, get it squared away. All right, now, oops, move it again here. All right, we're at Rapid City with our little hand, our arrow. We're going to go down Highway 44 to Scenic. That's how we get there. All right, and the area we're going to ride is just to the south and east of Phoenix. I'm circling it now with the cursor. The light area there is the Buffalo Gap National Grasslands, and the darker green is the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. All right, so to get there, we're going to zero in on Scenic a little bit. But I think to go on here, we need to get a better map because Google Maps are good for general things, but let's go to a more detailed map. Okay, I'm going to call up the USGS map. I've got it here in my clipboard. So we'll put it up here. Come along here, fella. There we are. And bingo. Ready to go. There it comes up. All right. And this is the USGS interactive map for the whole United States. You can zoom into any particular area. If you don't know how to get this map, you should learn. It's a very good map. We're in southern South Dakota there. There's Pine Ridge. There's Rapid City. Okay, let's pull it up. Put Rapid City up in the corner where it belongs. Okay, we're going to zoom in a little bit more. And there's Highway 44. All right, the little red line there. Okay, and right in that kink in Highway 44 is where Scenic is located. Since it's not incorporated, there's no name. But we'll pull into Scenic. And you notice on the very south end of town there's a road going east. That's the road we want to take. Okay, there is a shorter way to get there, but this is the easiest way to find it. It's called Indian Creek Road, and we're going to be riding in the Indian Creek area, so just keep going out here to the east. All right, Indian Creek Road takes a turn to the north here, but you don't want to go on that. Okay, you want to keep going to the east, and eventually you get out here to this edge of the table. And that's where you want to either park or camp because that's Bureau of Land Management area. You can camp there or unload there for the rest of the journey. So that said, let's move on. All right, I'm standing here at the place where you enter the Badlands. This area right here is where you can park or camp if you wish. It is dispersed camping, so certain rules apply. You can't have a fire. You have to haul out everything you can bring in, but and you're limited to 14 days. But once you park here, then you can unload. If you just come out for a day trip, you can park your trailer there and get your ATV off and head on out. The place where we're going to be riding is just towards the horizon out there and down below this hill. This is called Indian Creek, so let's take a look and see what's going on down there. Okay? All right. Uh, we ran across these folks who were taking their UTV out, and we thought we'd watch them go down the hill before we started. Um, it's not particularly difficult. You could go down here in your Kia if you wish. Once you get down there, it gets to be a little more interesting. But for now, this will give you some idea of what it's like entering the Badlands. Um, this is uh, Bureau of Land Management numbered road, so it's perfectly legal to ride it. It's open all year, um, and there is a requirement once you get down there that you do have a high clearance four-wheel drive, which includes most ATVs or Jeeps, or if you have a dirt bike, you can go down there. I wouldn't recommend it this time of year because, as you're going to see here in a few seconds, the creeks are pretty high. The creek, Indian Creek, is high. But with that said, let's get started here. All right, as we start going down the hill there, this first part you can go down there in your ordinary family vehicle if you wish. Um, it's not a difficult thing. It's a little steep, and there's some drop-offs, so it might be a little worrisome to some people, but it's by off-road standards, it's not bad at all. Um, as you get down to the bottom, though, you definitely, if you don't have four-wheel drive, you'll want to pick a really dry day. Midsummer is usually quite dry out in the Badlands. Um, we made this trip in early March of 2018, um, and there was a substantial thaw going on, so the creeks were high, and our Indian Creek was high, and it was not real cold. It was a little bit windy, so we headed down there, and this is a video of kind of the trip into the riding area. Um, as I said, the creek is a little bit high, and as we come up here on this first crossing, you'll see what I mean. And there's still a little snow on the ground, and it's a little muddy. So this is about four-wheel time. If you don't have four-wheel drive, kind of forget this. In this particular area along Indian Creek, you're not in the, well, you are technically in the Badlands, but you're not into the real scenic areas, which we'll show later in the video. But there's a few things you want to watch for, and one of them is these washouts. You can see one here. They could sometimes wash right across the road, so you don't want to go too fast because you may see a perfectly fine road and then all of a sudden there's a big washout there. And again, in this area you must stick to the marked Bureau of Land Management road. There is absolutely no off-road driving, so bear that in mind as well. The day we were out there, there was several ATVs and a UTV and a couple other Jeeps, so it's not terribly isolated in this area. It is popular, but like I said, when the water's running like this, and it's this muddy, you might want to wait till a little later in the season. Incidentally, the mud in the Badlands is called gumbo locally, which it is really sticky stuff. So if you do get all muddy, make sure that you wash it off fairly soon before it has a chance to dry, because it'll turn to concrete on you. In this particular section, there's not a lot to see. It's a little challenging to ride. It's kind of fun. We're coming up on a homestead, a former homestead, and in this area there's a windmill which you can look for. That's how you know you're there. And off to the west, a slight distance, there's the remains of a dugout where the people actually lived. But it's no telling how long ago the people actually occupied this area. I imagine somebody knows, but that somebody's not me. But like I said, the road is challenging at this time of the year. So what I'm going to do now is pull up some earlier videos to give you some idea of what you can expect when you actually get into the heart of the Badlands. Um, you go about 7 miles along Indian Creek before you reach the Pine Ridge Indian lands, and at that point you'll want to turn west and actually head into it. And like I say, even in the Pine Ridge area, you must stay on the trails. I thought I'd open the photo album with some pictures we took a few winters ago in the Badlands after a heavy snow. This is the view you see when you emerge from the canyon that's occupied by Indian Creek. As you come out, the prairie opens up like this, and the actual Badlands are off in the distance there. This is the view from the top of Sheep Mountain, and it's of the area where you emerge from Indian Creek. As you can see, the formations gradually get more and more pronounced as you get further into it. Um, so it gives you some idea what you should be looking for when you get out of that area by the creek. Here's a couple formations that are close to the roads that you'll be traveling. This happens to be Bigfoot Trail that we're on here. As you can see from these pictures, it's fairly easy to spot the roads, even though they're not paved. Most of them are dirt two tracks, uh, but they tend to be well used. So by ranchers and others. In this case, we're traveling this road in the wintertime, and although it had snowed a couple weeks earlier, it was obvious that nobody had been on the road until we got there. Here's another view of the same road as it's approaching Plenty Star Table, which is some distance away from Scenic. It's closer to Red Shirt than Scenic, although it's about in the middle of the Badlands for most part. This picture is interesting because it gives you some idea of the vastness of the Badlands. And how does it do that? Well, there is an ATV in the picture. Do you see it? Probably not. Let me pull up another picture here. It's close up, and pay attention to the little peak towards the center of the frame there. Okay, there it is, right in the center of the picture. And we'll pull it back out here so you can kind of get a better view of where it is. As I mentioned, we were on Bigfoot Trail, and this teepee ring happens to be quite close to Bigfoot Trail. The trail was used by Native Americans in traveling across the Badlands. We've actually seen a number of artifacts there. It's important that if you see anything like this, that you don't disturb it. These teepee rings have been here for 100 or 150 years, so you should, respect the native culture and not touch them. When you're in the Badlands, you're likely to see some wildlife. In this case, we're looking at some birds' nests on the cliff. I'll pull it in so you can see them a little bit better. And that's pretty much the end of the stills. I'm going to wrap this up with a quick video of an area in the Stronghold unit that's not too far away from where you might be riding. It's pretty rugged in this particular area, but there are places you can ride in the lowlands that generally are level washes, but you probably wouldn't be able to get too close to these formations. So I'll wrap this up with a couple shots of some Badlands cedars. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, and if you have comments or questions, you can contact us at the link given at the end of the video here. So again, thanks for joining me once again. Bye.